Do you get confused by the differences between British and American English? Do you find phrasal verbs very difficult when it comes to English? Well, if you answered yes to either of those questions, then this episode is either going to be the most useful episode for you or the most difficult and frustrating, because I am joined by a returning guest, Jesús Flórez. In today's episode, we will be talking about some differences between American and British English when it comes to phrasal verbs specifically. And just to give you a little bit more of an idea of how we prepared for this episode, it was quite minimal. We basically each came with a list of phrasal verbs that we did not tell one another. Our goal was to share something that we think might not be used in the other dialect. So I came up with a list of 5 phrasal verbs that I think are British and maybe aren't used in the US. But just to make it more interesting, I didn't research it. I didn't actually find out beforehand. So in this episode, we are discovering how widespread these phrasal verbs are. I think it's quite nice because you can see that just because you're a native speaker or a very advanced fluent learner like Jesús, it doesn't mean that you know everything about, American or British English. I know a lot about British English, but obviously less about the American side. So we discover in today's episode that actually quite a few are shared around the world internationally. And there's a few, especially British ones, that are more specific to the UK. And yeah, I think it should be quite a fun episode. So be prepared to learn, be prepared to hear a lot of maybe new phrasal verbs for you. And just as a reminder, I mentioned this at the end as well, but I will put a review of the main phrasal verbs mentioned up on the show notes page. So click on the link below or go to the website levelupenglish.school to read and review these in detail. And for the members on that same page, I will put a list of all of the bonus words we mention as well, because we mention many more other than the main phrasal verbs. And yeah, I spoke to Jesús for the first time a few weeks before this episode, and we had a good chat. Jesús is originally from Colombia and now living in the US, and he is an American accent coach. That is his speciality when it comes to English. So if you want to learn more about him, you can feel free to listen to that one if you haven't already. I'll put the link up on the screen here if you're watching on YouTube. But otherwise, let's get into it. I hope you enjoy our chat today. This is the Level Up English podcast, the best place to come to level up and improve your English one day at a time. My name is Michael, your host and your teacher for the day. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. We are back with Jesús again. We spoke a few months ago for the first time, and now you have kindly come back on the show for round 2. So thank you. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Michael. And thank you for having me here again. I've been looking forward to our sequel for a while.
Yeah, sequel for sure. Sequels are usually better than the first, right? So let's hope that holds up today.
Well, sometimes they are. I haven't made up my mind there, but I know that there is basically 2 camps when it comes to that, opinion.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What have you been up to recently? Tell me anything new with you, or how have you been spending your time?
Basically, I've just been going about my daily life here in the United States, working. Not a whole lot of teaching happening at the at present, unfortunately. I think given some of the most recent changes in my life, the teaching will definitely really be kind of a side project for, at the very least, the foreseeable future. Basically, just to give you a very quick example here, 2 of my children have now started regular schooling, meaning in
Mm,
person schooling. My wife had been homeschooling for a while, but that basically proved to be quite challenging, to say the least. And so we signed them up for the regular school system. And with that in place, the dynamics of daily life significantly altered. And so I have to be more available for things like that. And so as a result, and as also the result of many other contributing factors, there hasn't been a whole lot of teaching on my end. I have some ideas in mind, but it's really hard to flesh them out or to put them into practice.
Yeah, makes total sense. I mean, from my point of view, from what I hear, it's a really good. It's kind of the dream if you can have the life where you can prioritize your family and your kids. That's kind of what people are working towards generally, right? So even if you're not teaching as much as you might want to, I think family comes first, doesn't it?
It really does. And it's definitely not a cliche. I do believe that definitely comes first. I mean, it really does, basically, just to put it very simply. Um, I mean, I do feel the frustration of not being able to teach or coach, as often as I would like to. I'm just basically, taking the time, prioritizing, and just devoting time, where it's needed. One way that I look at all of these interviews that I have been sitting down for and collaborating with other teachers is that maybe this is the way in which I can keep this aspiration of mine alive and not let it die completely.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, and of course, if people want to know more about about you and all that kind of stuff, I think going back to our previous episode would be a good starting place. So I'll put a link on the screen perhaps if you're watching on YouTube, so you can go back and listen or watch that one if you prefer. But yeah, maybe we could talk a little bit about our plan for today. Actually, it was your idea. You had a great idea, I think, inspired by the last conversation we had, and that was to look at some phrasal verb differences between US and UK English. And I think we've both come with a list, maybe to quiz each other on these differences. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct, 100%. Yes, as a learner of English myself, the topic of phrasal verbs is virtually impossible to exhaust.
Mm.
And in my opinion, and I still maintain this, I still hold this position. I truly believe that that is one of the things that really sets you apart, as in making it very clear that you are definitely in the upper levels of language proficiency and knowledge, of it. Everybody is aware. I mean, this is kind of an axiom at this point that you're going to find these verbs everywhere. And a good handle or good grasp is really indispensable. I truly believe that now. In fact, in addition to my interest in accent coaching, which is my primary focus, or I guess what differentiates me from other teachers, I also strongly believe that developing your vocabulary skills is fundamental, to your overall proficiency. I kind of, in a way, see them as almost equal. I obviously would be more inclined to promote pronunciation and accent training as, the thing to at least give some more serious consideration to. But vocabulary knowledge is a very close second for me.
Yeah, like just as you said, I think with phrasal verbs, it can never be exhausted. There are so many to learn, and I would say, for the most part, it's kind of plausible that you could get by. You can go through your whole life without using phrasal verbs because there are usually other words to use instead. Rather than saying "let's head out soon," you could just say "let's leave soon." Right? So you could use other words, but if you don't learn the phrasal verbs, one, you will sound often less natural or more like a beginner in some areas. And of course, you will not understand a huge part of English speech because we use them in every conversation, sometimes every sentence. They're very common. So I was doing a bit of research for my list, and I kind of found that when it comes to differences between US and UK English, I don't know if you found the same, but most of the differences are in slang and more casual language. And I think when it comes to kind of standard English, I feel like there aren't so many differences in phrasal verbs. So I guess I'm just saying that to make the listeners feel less worried. You don't
Exactly.
have to learn two sets of vocab for each dialect of English, do you?
Yes, I agree with that because that is one way in which you can either demystify some of the realities of the differences, and at the same time, kind of like take the edge off. Because certainly, when you look at these side by side, or when after people have been listening, some of the differences exist. They are real. A lot of the time, there is shared um, usage, not strikingly different, but I think it does. Um, I think it is in in your best interest to again be aware of some of these differences and just basically how common again the use of phrasal verbs is in everyday English, especially if you're if what most people think of when it comes to learning a language is connecting with other people, then I don't see a way around phrasal verbs. You have to know some of
Mm,
them.
yeah, yeah, 100%. So perhaps we can get right into it then, because I think this could be a fun list to talk about. So
Absolutely.
I'll give you my first one, and I'm curious. I guess you can say, this is actually also in US English. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe maybe you don't know it at all, or maybe it is only British English, but you happen to know this anyway. So I think there's a few different options here.
Yes.
I will give you an example sentence for each one of mine as well. So here's my first one. I am completely done in after that run. So to be done in is the phrasal verb. Have you heard of this?
I don't believe so, but the meaning seems clear enough that you are exhausted or
Mm,
spent after, you know, this form of exercise. Interestingly enough, um, I thought that you were more inclined in that case or in that situation to use knackered as your
yep.
alternative.
I think that's more common. Yeah, of course, it's not a phrasal verb, which is why I didn't mention it. But yeah, I think knackered, meaning exhausted in casual British English, is more common for sure. But yeah, done in, I think, is one that a lot of people may not have heard before. Like, oh, I am done in. I'm knackered. So well done. You got that, I guess, based on the context, right?
Yes, absolutely. There are instances, and I want to say this as an encouraging word for the listeners. You are going to be able sometimes to guess accurately the meaning of these verbs. The
Yeah.
context, a lot of the time, really helps with the meaning, deciphering. Sometimes our guesses are not the best, but in this case, based on the example, I don't believe there was any difficulty. We do not use that in American English, to the best of my knowledge. We're way more likely to simply use an adjective or some sort of a paraphrase, not a phrasal verb. When I think about it, I don't believe that we have a phrasal verb that conveys that meaning. I'll just simply say
Interesting.
that, I'm completely exhausted, spent, or as some, you know, a slang expression that may not be used that much anymore, but I learned it years and years ago. We can say that you're pooped in American English.
Pooped. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I'll be curious as well to hear if you've got any that I don't know because American English is so common in the UK these days. I'll be curious, but Before we do that, one more thing I wanted to try is to ask you a question with each phrasal verb too. So I think they're going to be quite simple because I'm making them up as we go. So this one will be when was the last time that you felt done in, that you felt exhausted?
I'm gonna say just to really say something right now because I can't really think of anything that
Mm.
is related to, let's say, exercise or workout. But when I go up and down the stairs at work, sometimes I choose health. I feel completely done in by the time I reach the fourth floor.
Perfect. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it takes a lot of energy from you. It seems like such a simple task walking upstairs, but it really quickly drains you. So totally with you on that one.
Absolutely, especially, in all honesty, when you are not in the greatest shape, you feel winded, by the time you are making it through the last flight of stairs.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, good. Okay, done in. Number one is done, pun intended. Do you have one now for me? Maybe you could choose one from your list.
Yes, I'm basically gonna go in order here. I did try my best to curate this in a way that would not be so obvious. So I might be able to stump you. We'll
Mm,
see.
that'd be good.
This one is to dish out. If I say to you, the coach is known to dish out harsh criticism after a bad game.
Yes. I I'm trying. I know this one. I'm trying to think how I would define it. Um, again, I think we'll see this pattern quite a lot. I'm honestly not sure. Maybe you know that I don't, but I'm not sure if this is only US English because I think I've used this one before, but I don't know whether it's an American term that we've adopted or whether it's just one that we both use. But yeah, dish out is kind of like giving, but giving like insults, like or or something like that. Is it insulting in this case?
Um, in this case, it is, but we can also use it to talk about someone who gives, especially verbal commentary. One way
Mm,
in which I have learned this verb is that someone can dish out plenty of truth, as in, they are not afraid to speak their minds or
hmm.
their mind in this case. So that's the way that I have learned it. I had a feeling that maybe you would know it. This is not, let's say, the hardest one that I found. But I think that I've heard it from both sides. Who came up with it first? I really have no clue. I think there's been enough cross pollination there, but it's a good one. I actually like it. Again, phrasal verbs again contribute a great deal to making your English sound very natural, very casual, spontaneous even. So yeah,
Yeah.
good one. All right, so let's go ahead and you can give me another one of yours.
One more comment I had is I just thought of this because I think this is getting. I don't know if this is a more recent slang, but based on that phrasal verb dish out, when someone has gossip, you might just say, "Oh, dish, dish, dish," right? Like,
I
tell
have
me the
not heard
gossip,
that one.
dish. Have you not?
I
Ah,
haven't. No, I will say, let me say this. I mean, it seems clear to me that where you are going to encounter the latest slang is going to be in social media,
yes,
sites, companies. I don't frequent those places. I don't have social media that I'm active in at the moment. So I'm missing out on a lot of stuff. I'm
yeah. I think
still,
we're too old.
I, I think I'm still at the spill the tea stage.
Yeah, I mean, I've also had dish the tea, dish the tea as well. But I guess it's all connected. But yeah, okay, good one, good one. If you want to, next time you can think of a question to ask me. But
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
Yeah,
should
yeah.
say to the audience that we haven't really done much preparation. Like we don't know each other's lists. I didn't tell Jesus about the questions before, so this is very much in the moment, kind of coming up with stuff.
That's my preference when it comes to these things because that's where you really see the spontaneity come out.
Mhm. Yeah, but okay. Well, I'll give you a new one then, and this one I definitely had to include. This is I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd say vulgar. It's not. I mean, it depends who you are. Like some people might consider this to be a swear word, a curse word, but I think for most people it's not that bad. But it's very common in the UK, and this is to be pissed off. Pissed off. Do you want a sentence example, or do you know this already?
Oh, yes, I definitely know this one. We use this one a lot in American English as well.
Oh, you do?
We
Okay.
do, we do. I don't know how common or prevalent it is. It certainly is one that at least I've encountered plenty of times from teachers, from different examples in real life, media content. But no, absolutely, it is it is it is quite well known here in America as well. The only thing that I can think of here, just as a side comment, is that there is one sense in which you use the word piss that we don't use here in the United States, and that is
Mhm.
as a way to say that someone is drunk. We
That
never,
was going to be my next one. You beat
yeah,
me to it.
we don't use it in that sense. That meaning does not exist. Well, I wouldn't say it doesn't exist here, but it is not a meaning that we attribute to the word.
Okay, so while we're on the topic, maybe I can give you a 2.5, like a little bit more. So yeah, just to clarify, pissed off means annoyed, right? Um, how about usually this is like a noun phrasal verb, if that makes sense. It's like a phrasal verb turned into a noun.
Yeah, we
Um,
call those
to
there's a
have
name for those actually. We call them phrasal nouns.
okay, phrasal nouns, yeah, and that makes sense. To have a piss up. So rather than off, we're going up. Have you heard that before?
No, that one is totally new to me.
Oh, good. So if I say let's have a piss up tonight, any guess what that means?
It sounds like the meaning is positive, but I'm not sure actually. It can
Mm,
go either way. I feel like I feel that this one is a complete toss up for me.
yeah, toss up another phrasal noun, right?
Yes, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, you mentioned it before. So to have a piss up is to kind of go and get drunk, like go meet together and get drunk together. To
Mm.
piss up. So it could be positive, depends on your view of drinking.
It does definitely. I can see that. I don't think that we have something that conveys that meaning with a phrasal noun. Probably would just simply have a paraphrase of, let's go out for drinks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, in my research, I did read that. I mean, someone was saying that British English tends to use more phrasal verbs than American, which I never considered before, but maybe there's some truth behind that. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I wouldn't know really one way or the other.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
there are enough plenty, I mean, there are enough phrasal verbs out there, I guess, to maybe make that possible, in either dialect. Sometimes I notice that phrasal verbs don't come out as naturally, even among native speakers. When sometimes I listen, closer to conversations that I can sometimes overhear, I don't, sometimes the entire exchange goes down without a phrasal verb, coming up. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't. So I don't know.
It's funny. I'm noticing them more and more now. You're saying the conversation goes down, phrasal verbs come up. You're using them all the time, and I'm more aware of them than I was before.
Yeah, we're more sensitive to them today.
Yeah. So maybe listeners can see how many they can notice while we're talking. We may not be aware of them either.
Hmm.
But yeah, maybe again, I don't know if anything comes to mind, but can you think of a time when you were, we decided this was US and UK,
Yes.
where you were pissed off recently? Maybe someone annoyed you in some way or some little thing, uh,
I can
annoyed you.
actually, well, I can actually relate something that happened today at at work. So we have fire alarms installed throughout the building. Every once in a while, we have to do fire drills. Today, one of the alarms went off, and we had to, as protocol dictates, vacate the building. It turns out that it was a false alarm because of some electrical work being done to the system. I was pissed off because I was in the middle of doing something work related. And I was also in the middle of a snack. I was eating a Hershey bar.
But did you evacuate with your Hershey bar? Could you take it with you?
I think I basically just, I think I was about to finish it. I might have just simply wolfed it all the way down.
I just imagine you running out of the building eating your chocolate.
I didn't want that to happen. So I think I did gobbled it
Yeah,
up before I went out.
priorities. Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
nice, nice. Yeah, yeah. We I don't think we really had many fire alarms here, but yeah, when they do happen, it also sometimes pisses me off because it's always in the moment where you're busy and you don't want it to happen. But
Yeah.
yeah, of course.
And I can kind of understand because the idea is that you can't really predict these things
Mhm,
down to the minute. So there's always going to be that element of surprise. Almost like I like to think of this phrase as well. It's like you're jolted or, shaken out of a stupor. When you're really just focused on something and you kind of like go into autopilot, and then that
yeah,
thing just simply kind of like breaks a spell in a way. And
yeah. I
so
mean that's kind of the whole purpose of it. Yeah,
it is. I think it is. And I don't think you can ever get used to it. I hate the sound, that these alarms make. I think it's intentional that they be annoying so that you really notice them.
yeah. If it was like a lullaby or something really relaxing, you probably would fall asleep and
It,
you wouldn't make it out.
you wouldn't. Yes.
Yeah. But okay, well, do you have another one for me to share?
Yes. So let me see. I'm actually going to I have a feeling that you will know this one. Actually, you may know them all. Uh I was actually telling my wife earlier today that it's always easier for you guys to stump us than it is for us to
Yes,
stump
yes,
you.
100%.
So all right. How about this? Because I believe that this is actually a phrasal verb that might have a slightly different form in your dialect. If I say putter around, as in Putter, around, I say, on my days off, I just like to putter around the house and relax.
Yeah, so to me that is kind of wandering around, kind of walking around, not doing too much, like a bit of this, a bit of that, in a very relaxed, kind of what's the word?
Unhurried, yeah,
Yeah,
leisurely
unhurried way.
way.
Yeah, you don't have a goal. You're just kind of doing a bit of this, a bit of that.
Exactly. Doing small, kind of like inconsequential things. The reason why I say that there is a slightly different form is because what I've seen two alternatives to this. I've seen Potter, as in Potter, around, but also I believe
Potter.
that this is a good equivalent to what you guys uh, say when you use faff about or faff around.
Ah, I see. That was also on my list. I was going to mention that, but I won't. I won't anymore. But yeah, faffing about. So FAFF. Yeah, faff about or faff around. Um, I think this is a bit different. This is kind of like being silly, wasting time, but it's a negative word. So it's kind of maybe you have this too. Messing around. It's the
Yes,
same
we
as
do.
that.
That we
Like
do.
being
Yes.
naughty, kind of. Um, I mean, yeah, faff is a huge word in British slang. It's often means inconvenience in some contexts. Like, oh, that's a lot of faff. It's a lot of trouble. But yeah, faff around is like wasting time. Stop faffing around and put your shoes on. But I think puttering is more relaxed. Is that right?
Yes. At least it is here.
I'm actually going to research this live because when you said that, I thought you were going to say pottering because I don't think I've ever used the word puttering with a U, but I have used pottering around with an O, like Harry
That's what I
Potter.
That's what I've seen as the UK form.
Oh,
It
okay, okay, maybe that's it.
that's what I've seen. Um, and I think actually listening to what you were saying just now, maybe faff, um, well, maybe this putter around is probably better or has maybe faff and putter around. I think there is definitely a nuance in meaning here that basically should not be. I think we shouldn't be thinking of them as close in meaning. I think there's actually a greater distance here.
Hmm.
Maybe one alternative here to faffing about is that we can say that you are goofing off in American English. I
That
think the
sounds more
meaning there,
American to me. Yeah,
I think the meaning is closer there.
that sounds exactly the same. Yeah, goofing off, faffing around. Yeah, perfect. And yeah, I just had a quick search, and it does seem like pottering is the more British version of puttering. Very very small difference, but that's interesting. And I suppose if listeners want to remember, just think of where Harry Potter comes from, and that might be a good
Yes.
way to separate them.
Could be a good mnemonic device. Yes, absolutely. I agree. So, Michael,
Interesting.
let me ask you this question. So, when was the last time that you remember puttering around?
That's a surprisingly hard question because maybe a bit like you, I'm always so busy doing different things. It's very intentional, and there aren't many times where I'm just kind of puttering or pottering about, not doing much. Um, uh, I don't know. I think often I can't think of a specific example, but often it's when I know there's something I should be doing, like doing the washing up, uh, hanging the clothes out to dry, or something like that, and I will end up uh, pottering around, doing odd jobs around the house in order to procrastinate and avoid what I should be doing. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind. I do that occasionally.
I find myself doing the same, especially when there is something that I'm trying to actively avoid, just making excuses, to not do it. Um, oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Well, maybe sometimes, I mean, at least for me. Um, I have a 1 year old baby. And obviously, I have to change his diapers or nappies, as you say, as you call them.
Mm.
And sometimes, you know, I don't want to have to do it. I might just putter around doing other things. But obviously, I always get around to doing that. I think that could be an example, of it. You're doing all of these little things to kind of like distract you from something that you may not find the most pleasant, to do. I think that would work. So I think that makes 2 from me and 2 from you, so let's go to a 3rd one.
Okay, okay, yeah, let's do it. I think so. Yeah, my goal is to also stump you. I'm trying to think of ones that you might not have heard of before. This one, it can just be a verb to skive, but we often say skive off, to skive off. Before I give you a sentence, any meaning coming to mind right away?
I have seen that verb used before. I don't know exactly how common it is, these days. At least one teacher or one content creator that I saw or heard use this term basically made it sound like the term is not really in use that much anymore. But the meaning that
Mm,
I have heard of this verb is what you would call skipping school.
yeah,
Maybe you can apply it in other contexts, but that's the one meaning that I know.
yeah, perfect. The definition I've got here is to avoid work or school. So he skived off school to watch the football game. And yeah, in terms of how popular it is, it's kind of hard to say because when I was in school, we used it all the time. Oh, he's skiving off school today. Very common. I stopped using it as I got older, just because there's no need to use it. When you're an adult, you don't really skive off work. It's not a common thing. So I stopped using it for that reason. So I can't tell you whether it's less common or simply I've got older. So I'm not sure if kids today are using it at school, but if you have any access to British kids, you can let us know. Yeah, I have no idea. But yeah, you got it right though.
Yeah, and again, I've I don't hear this one very often. Actually, before you mentioned it today, I think it had been a long time since I
Mm,
last heard the term used naturally, in a conversation. I came across this word many years ago in a book, not in a conversation or some kind of other example of natural language being used.
okay.
So again, there's kind of like that element of artificiality, you know, when it comes to this word in my mind. And obviously, we do not use that here. It used to be the case that people would use the expression to play hooky, meaning
Ah,
skipping school
I didn't know that.
without a valid reason.
I see. Okay. So if you said that to me, I would have been stumped on that one. That's a good one. Um, but yeah, I mean, can you think of a time when you have skived off work or school? Any memories come to mind where you've done that before? I'm sure everyone has, right? At least once.
I'm sure there is. I can't quite retrieve something right now. Um, Maybe not a personal example, but I want to say that among my group of friends in high school, there might have been one time where they were supposed to go to physical education class or participate in some kind of sport. And I believe that they skived off to go to one of, uh, yeah, to go to one of our friends' apartments and just, gather around the TV and play a video game. I don't know what the game might have been, but I want to say that something like that actually happened. It's really far into the past, so it's very fuzzy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think most people. I mean, even if you're a good student, I feel like most people have at least once. But um, one memory that comes to my mind is maybe this is not relatable for you. I don't know if you had snow where you grew up, maybe not. But when we had a snow day, snow in the south of England isn't super common. Maybe once a year, one day a year or less. But when we had a snow day, I sometimes skived off school because I wanted to play in the snow. I didn't want to go sit in a classroom. And looking back as an adult, I don't have any regrets. It was a good choice. So I'm not going to recommend it, but I enjoyed that day out of school.
Yeah, definitely no snow for me growing up. But I have
Mm,
a feeling that if I had grown up here, that might have been a thing. I might have done it actually. For all I know, just thinking back, I might have either decided myself to do it or I might have been encouraged, egged on. I don't know if you guys use that,
yeah, yeah, we do.
by
Yeah, yeah, egged on,
by my
encouraged.
friends. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, I think is it your turn now?
It is mine. Yes. So that's three for you, two for me. Here comes my third one. I kn- you're gonna know this one, but I like it because I guess we do find ourselves sometimes, saying this to one another, as a word of encouragement to tough it out.
Hmm.
Um, I know the last part is example here reads. I know the last part of the race is hard, but you just have to tough it out.
Mm. This one's interesting because I can't think of any moment where we would say tough out without it. I feel like we always have that like tough it out. We always say it in the middle. But yeah, that's just to endure, like to keep strong during some difficulty, right?
Exactly. A difficult or unpleasant situation.
Mm,
Sometimes I like to think of other expressions that are almost equivalent in meaning. There is one that I have heard used here, and that is that you grin and bear it.
can you say
Um,
that again?
to grin and bear it. Grin, and Barrett, Bearit. It also can,
Bearit.
yeah,
I
to
don't think I've
bear
heard
as
that.
in, yeah, bear as in,
Okay, so two words there. Bear it.
yeah, to grin and bear it.
Green
Um,
bear. I haven't heard that, but it makes sense to me.
it's there's actually a name for those expressions that combine two parts of speech together. It might be something that is referred to as binomial pairs. I think that's the correct term here. You can, I'll let people do the research. They can do it.
Yeah, we spoke about that on a podcast a few weeks ago, and it's something similar like that, like again and again, or something like you have these pairs of words. Yeah.
Yes. And so I believe the meaning is close enough. I believe you convey the same core meaning, and you just have different alternatives. And yes, I mean, it is interesting. When we use that phrasal verb, we always use that object in the middle. I've never seen it used without the pronoun it.
Yeah, I suppose it is referring to the situation. Like, um, yeah, keep going, but yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. I wonder if I can think of a time where I've had to, I've had
Tough something out.
to
Yeah,
yeah, tough something out. Well, yeah, something we could say as well. Tough it out, tough something out. But the first thing that comes to my mind is earlier in the summer this year, I was sick 3 times in the space of like 2 months. I think it's because I was going on planes a lot and people coughing right next to me. I got very unlucky, and by the third illness in that period, I was so fed up. I was so annoyed, pissed off, you could say, and I had to tough it out. Like I was feeling weak, I was feeling tired, and sometimes in pain or painful throat. Nothing serious, but uh, yeah, I had to tough it out. There was nothing else I could do. Just wait and try to be strong.
exactly. There is actually, as you said that, another expression that we can use here. And this is actually one that I have heard more examples of recently, and that is to power through something.
Hmm.
I feel that the meaning is identical. You endure a difficult or unpleasant situation, you continue kind of like pushing yourself, uh, dealing with the unpleasantness of it, and then just wait until it's over. We can kind of, I guess, also use wait it out in a way, but not exactly. That's like, well, the use is different of waiting something out.
Yeah, wait out the storm. Yeah.
Yes, but also sometimes we can say ride out, as in RIDE out.
Hmm.
At least I feel that that's more common here.
Ride out, wait out. Yeah, I guess they're the same. Yeah, I don't. Ride out might be more of an American one because I don't know if I would use it, but I do understand it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think of
interesting.
them effectively as synonyms. So
Yeah,
I'm not going to make it any more complicated
yeah,
than
yeah.
that
We've
than it
mentioned a
is.
lot already.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. You see, there is a lot of there is nuance when it comes to all of these verbs. But in everyday conversation, a lot of the time we use them interchangeably. And so I want the listeners to not be discouraged, by all of those things. I mean, they are very nice things to dive into. I really believe so. But for your everyday communication, a lot of the time you can just swap them out.
Yeah.
All right, so that
Well,
was the third one from me. Let's
so
actually
it's
try to
my
keep it.
turn.
So I want to say that we're about 42 minutes right now. So let's do two more from each, and then we can wrap it up.
That's perfect because I have exactly two more that I want to share. I couldn't decide between them, so I'm glad I can do both. So, first one uh, is very common in the UK. I'll be curious to see if you've heard this. This is to slag off, to slag someone off. I can give you an example, but before I do you any idea with this one? Slag off?
I don't think so. I might have seen it,
Or
but I'm not recalling anything concrete.
okay, so this is SLAG, and I think you'll get it by the context here. He's always slagging off his boss, behind her back.
Yes. So from that example, I surmise that the meaning is an insult. Or
Yeah, yeah.
um, there's another word that we can use for this as well. I can't quite remember. But yes, to speak ill, I think that's one way to put it, of someone, or to talk behind their back. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I don't think it's not exact. It's not necessarily behind their back. It often is, but that's not part of the meaning. But yeah, basically just to criticize someone strongly. Um,
Mm. So
and
would
yeah,
you
it's
say
very casual, very slang.
so would you say that there's an element of being kind of in your face about it, as in not hiding it, just being uh kind of blunt about it?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, like, when I think of slagging off, I think of someone going like, "Oh, can you believe what she did? She's so horrible. Like she's so stupid, and all these things she did is really bad." Like that's kind of slagging off, and it could be behind their back or to their face. I think.
I see. Yeah, that one I might have seen another YouTube teacher use it,
Mm,
but the meaning was not very clear. The example made it clear. We
okay.
don't use that one here, but I do feel that we have a perfect equivalent in a different phrasal verb, and that is to light someone up.
Oh, yeah. So light up, isn't it kind of like exploding? Is that the original meaning? I'm not too sure. Like to.
In a way, it is, yes, because if you have played a certain genre of video games, to light someone up means to basically attack or shoot in
Ah,
their direction. However, in this case, the meaning is the same as in to severely or harshly criticize
it's a
someone.
verbal attack. Yeah,
Exactly. Yes. So you can say, my boss lit me up when I did X.
yeah.
Or also
Uh,
as because the example that you use is um let's say an employee speaking about or talking about their let's say their boss or supervisor. I think it can actually go the other way. That so and so lit him up, um, you know, out in the open or something. But yes, I feel that the meaning, perfectly matches the expression.
yeah. I should give a little bit of a warning or a disclaimer to the audience too, and maybe to you if you haven't heard it before, because it is a little bit vulgar. It's not like the worst word you can say, but just to kind of give an example, slag as a word on its own, SLAG, is very similar to I don't really want to say it, but it's the BITCH, that word. So it's an insult used primarily against women, so it can be very, very harsh. And yeah, slag
Mm,
off is not quite the same, but it uses the same word. So that gives you an idea that it's not something you want to use in the workplace uh, too much.
I
But
see.
so yeah,
No,
be careful, but it is fairly common in the UK.
yeah, there are plenty of expressions like that, that I have seen. I'm sure that there are other examples like it out there. That you have an element of, you have an element or a word, a part of the expression that on its own, can hurt some sensitivities. Let's put it
Mm,
that way, be found offensive. But I did not know just slag on its own meaning, having that meaning. That is
yeah.
brand new to me.
It's interesting though, because yeah, the phrasal verb is definitely less vulgar than the word on its own. So turning it into a phrasal verb makes it more acceptable, which is interesting. But I suppose because it's not, you're not describing someone. Maybe that's why it's not personal.
Yeah. Or
Um,
simply, it could be an instance of the usage,
yeah,
just simply departing a great deal from whatever the initial meaning was, and so they're completely separate or separate enough, so
yeah,
that
I think so.
there's no hint of, let's say, the you know abrasiveness of the original word. Now, in that sense, I don't think I have ever to my recollection, slagged off somebody, uh, but I might have been on the receiving end of it,
Mm,
less harshly, or not as harsh as the expression implies. I've had office jobs here in the US. There was one that I had years ago as a receptionist. And I one time was, I'm going to use it just for the sake of it here, but I was slagged off by the administrator of the facility that I was a receptionist for some reason that I can't quite recall at this moment. But I definitely felt like I was on the receiving end of some maybe due criticism. I don't know. It might have been warranted, but I think that example, I think that can work.
yeah, yeah, perfect, perfect. So yeah, you used it in a in a passive way, which is also a good example. I was slagged off by someone else. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure we all have. I can't think of one, but yeah, sure it's common, unfortunately. But yeah, should we get to
Yes,
your one now? Then we've got two more.
yes. Okay, this should be an easy one for you. When I say or when we say to hunker down,
Mm,
first before I give you the example sentence, do you know what that means?
yes, I do. Yeah, to again, the storm comes to mind. You know, waiting out a storm. You're hunkering down. You're staying in one place. Uh, is that it, or is there any extra meaning? You're staying in one
Yes,
place and waiting, maybe.
absolutely. Yes, that's the most common way that we use it. Literally, you are taking shelter from
Mm,
typically severe weather. And at least in this part of the country where I live, we are prone to severe weather, especially tornadoes. That's the thing here. And
crazy.
so the example, we need to hunker down and get, well, actually, this is a different example here because sometimes you can use it, but this is far less frequent when you want to prepare for a long period of work. And actually, based on this meaning, I would be more likely to say that we need to buckle down, not hunker down. But this example reads, we need to hunker down and get this report done by tomorrow.
Yeah, but both familiar to me. I would use both of them too. Again, I think with any in your list, maybe I'll research later, but I'm not sure if they are American or international, or maybe they used to be American and now they've spread. But yeah, I think buckle is like the seatbelt, right? You buckle down. Is that what you said? Um,
Yes. In
work
the
hard
sense
and
in the sense of really working hard,
yeah.
to accomplish a certain goal. Especially, I believe the nuance here is that whatever you're doing will require a lot of effort.
Hmm. Yeah, and to me, hunkering down, I have the image of more being in a room, like isolated in one space. Maybe a lot of us had to kind of hunker down during COVID. It's not a perfect example. It's not a storm, but it's kind of similar where we couldn't really go outside at some points. It depends on the rules in our countries. Um, but yeah, I remember hunkering down and just kind of waiting. Like, when will this pandemic be over? When can I go outside and meet my friends again? So I think a lot of us were hunkered down in that moment. Maybe you as well, right?
Yeah, and definitely during that first year, I think the use of this term definitely exploded. I'm going to say
Right.
that it definitely was all over the place. Also, the expression to shelter in place was extremely ubiquitous back then. I mean, we were here. I mean, we were being blasted with that phrase all the time.
Mm, interesting. Yeah, we didn't have that one as much here. We had other ones instead that I can't quite remember, which is maybe a good thing or maybe a bad thing that I've moved on from that time so quickly. But yeah, definitely there was a lot of new vocabulary that came up for everyone during the pandemic.
Yes,
But
absolutely. Some
yeah,
things they were repeated so often, or so frequently that it was kind of like Um, I don't know. Kind of lost my train of thought there. But the point is that we were bombarded, with with some terminology so much.
Mhm, mhm.
We might have some form of um post-traumatic some kind of stress, here,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, kind of like a tick, that we've developed now when we hear, or maybe sometimes I guess we hear the word and we kind of bristle at the memory, that
Yeah.
that word evokes. I mean, at least that's the way that I feel sometimes. But all right, so that was
Was
Hunker
that your
Down.
penultimate? Mhm.
Yes, that was it was. So let's go on to the last one from you and then the last one from me, and I think that'll do it for today.
Yeah, so my last one, again, I'm trying to pick them carefully to stump you. This one is not vulgar, which is a nice change. It's a one that can happen, one that you can use in maybe everyday situations to kick off. To kick off. Just on the phrase alone, what does that mean? What does that mean to you to kick off?
It means basically for something to start.
Mm, yeah,
However, I believe the nuance here, because we don't, I think you can say that here, but there is a nuance that whatever kicks off is perceived as something negative overall. The example that always comes to mind for me is that a fight kicked off.
yeah. Yeah, perfect, perfect. Yeah. So again, I don't know how common that is in the states, but yeah, we often say that fighting kicked off or an argument kicked off, maybe, but fighting, I think is better. But there's a kind of secondary meaning to this that I think is common in the UK, and I'll give you a sentence. So
Go ahead.
he
Yeah,
was.
because if there is another meaning, I don't know it.
It's similar. It's similar, but he really kicked off when he got refused entry to the pub. He really kicked off.
Oh, okay. So definitely in that case, it means that well, actually, I'm going to say what we would say here, he blew up, when he was
Yes,
refused
yeah,
entry.
yeah, perfect. He basically got angry, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Um, yeah. So
He
I
was
think it's related,
infuriated.
isn't it? Yeah, yeah, infuriated. Kick off, we said means start, like a fight kicked off, and I think it's connected. Like if you kick off, it's like you're starting. It could be starting a fuss, starting anger. So I think it's kind of connected to that same meaning. But
Yeah.
yeah, to kick
We
off.
we definitely don't use it in that sense here.
Yeah.
Um you can say, thinking about it some more here, you can say that something set somebody off
Yes. Yeah.
in the meaning of eliciting a very angry response or outburst.
Yeah. That's a good equivalent. Yeah. So my final question to you is: as a father, as a dad, have you experienced your kids kicking off over anything? Maybe they've started to get start crying or screaming over something, and you had to calm them down. I don't know if any, maybe quite a few uh, memories come to mind.
Um, and you mean it in the sense of a reaction to something that
Yeah,
is
we can use it to
happening.
kids for kids
Okay.
too. Yeah, kids are kicking off. They're getting upset and angry.
Mm, like getting triggered, maybe.
Yes, triggered. Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna probably use this an example. Sometimes, uh, when one of the children wants to use the tablet and they know whose turn it is, they'll get kicked off when we have to give it to the other child.
mm,
It's actually kind of a recurring thing, so much so that we've had to come up with a bit of a schedule, so that everyone knows, all right, so you get it today, not you. Wait for your turn the next day. That's really the only thing that really, that comes to mind, that's clear, concrete, and that is fresh, in my memory. Interestingly, I want to say this kind of like not a hypothetical, but something that I was thinking that was going to kick them off, and that was before the school year started. My daughter, who is now 6, did a summer preparation program to, let's say, get her acclimated to the setting of what we call here kindergarten. I know that there's a different word that you use in the UK for this. When you
Yeah.
first send a child into the school system,
Do
I
you
don't know
mean
what.
nursery? We call it nursery.
No, there's actually something else that I have seen used before. But yes, I think you can call it that. And I was expecting that going to, you know, a different place would kick her off, trigger her. Because
Hmm.
before this, she had spent every day here at home with my wife, with mom, and the siblings. And so I was ready for a meltdown, a big one at that. But that did not happen. I was very pleasantly surprised.
Nice. Okay, good news. Good news. That's good.
Yes,
Parenting
absolutely.
win.
Absolutely. No, that was a huge relief for me because I was basically expecting, I was, kind of like use a cliche phrase here. I was hoping for the best, but expecting the worst.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic.
All right. So
Um.
that, I believe, is the last one from you.
Yes.
Let's go on and I feel that there are two ways that we can use this one here, but I'm gonna give you the one here that we got from. I actually use Gemini, from Google,
Hmm.
for this one. So if I use the verb to bail, bail, on, the preposition. If I just say that one to you, can you think of a meaning for the verb
To bail on an event, maybe,
or someone?
uh,
Yes.
or someone.
Yeah,
So
it can collocate with both.
yeah, in British English, we often say to flake or be flaky, and that's to not attend an event or not meet someone who you promised to meet. We had an agreement to meet at some time, and I didn't go, so I bailed. I gave up on my plan to go. Is that right?
Yeah, you abandoned a
Yeah.
plan or someone. Typically, this is about plans, things that you are going to do, like an event that you were going to go to, or some kind of an outing that you were going to participate, and you bailed on us. So here the example reads, he bailed on our plans at the last minute. There's always
Yeah.
there's very often that nuance of, a last minute occurrence, kind of like came out of nowhere. But interestingly, sometimes we can use the word out, but to mean something very similar. He bailed out on us. Sometimes we can kind of use two prepositions
Ah.
here. But if you just say bail out, that has a different meaning. It means to help someone. And I think the
Oh
meaning is
yes.
actually
Yeah.
related to the word bail in the court or in the legal system, as in, an amount of money that you pay as assurance that you will appear in court at a later time. I'm pretty sure you guys use it the same way there.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I don't think I would use bailout in the same way as the previous one. I've already forgotten. It was
Yeah, to
bail.
help or give somebody a hand is another way to put it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I mean, I don't. Maybe you do as well. But often in the UK, we just say to bail. Like we don't even use a phrasal verb sometimes. Like, oh yeah, he bailed. Um, like we don't have to say bailed on someone, but
mm,
yeah, he bailed. He's not coming tonight.
I see.
Um, so it seems to be common internationally. Yeah.
Probably, probably. Um, when you were saying flaky or flake as a verb,
Mhm.
I want to say that we can say the same thing here, but typically I think it's more likely that we use the adjective, as in so and so was flaky.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't say Bailey, could you?
No,
So
I
yeah,
don't think so.
flaky
No,
is the best one.
no, that doesn't sound real. No, definitely, I don't believe so. So, one last question here for this one would be: can you think of a time when you bailed on someone?
Last night, I said to my friend, I'm gonna. We had a plan to meet up in the park and go for a walk, and it got to about 5 p.m. and I was already feeling like I want to go to bed. I was like, I'm tired. I've got no energy. I just want to stay in. So I text my friend and I bailed. I bailed on her. I bailed on the event, and I stayed at home, played some video games, and went to bed. And do I regret it? In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. I think honestly, if I had gone, I would have been way too tired and I wouldn't have enjoyed it. So yeah, I bailed. I felt guilty, but maybe it was the right choice.
Probably was. Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes I think, yeah, I mean, I can kind of see both. I mean, I can see both ways. Because on the one hand, you don't want to disappoint, a friend of yours, and especially if you've kind of sort of committed to some kind of a, activity. But then on the other hand, you got to take care of yourself, as well.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's
a lot,
true.
and you know what? A lot of the time, at least for me, at least, it has become a thing that resting or having meaningful rest in one way or another is actually starting to come to the point where it trumps, you know, let's say other benefits,
Yeah,
whatever benefits you believe that you get from doing something. I feel that as I get older, the prospect of rest will win out. It's just a feeling.
yeah. That's a good realization to have for sure. But yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, so that made 5 for me, 5 for you. That's perfect right there. And
Good
so many
list.
more in between. There we go.
Yeah, it's a good list, and I think because we've mentioned so many, I will put a list up on the show notes page for everyone to review in writing if you want to see it there. And I think also, with your English, you've mentioned so many fantastic expressions and other good advanced vocab. So I might make a separate list just for the level up members and kind of display everything else that you mentioned that might be new because I imagine it will be a long list.
Yeah, it will be
But
well
that's great.
well worth it. Yes. Mine it, for your paid audience. Yes, absolutely.
Nice. Well, thank you. And yeah, maybe before we do say goodbye, you can tell people a bit more about you and where they can find you if they want to connect or see more from you when you're not busy parenting and doing other things.
So yes, basically, as I said last time, you can refer to that episode from a few months ago. The contact information is still accurate. I will say that there has been one update, and that is that I am no longer active on Cambly. I did mention that I was considering the possibility of getting back to it, but actually, towards the end of August, I decided to just walk away from it completely. But you will still have my email address there, my YouTube channel. I have some ideas, but I haven't been able to flesh them out. But you can always contact me there, and I'm only an email away.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and as always, I'll link up to everything. And yeah, who knows what the future holds for all of that? So we'll see. But yeah, thank you so much. It's been so lovely to chat again, and I hope the audience has enjoyed it as well. So I'm trying to think of a way I can finish up with a phrasal verb. I wouldn't say I'm done in after this talk. It hasn't been that tiring, nor am I pissed off. So I guess there's nothing I can really use from today. But maybe we can bail now and we can leave and say goodbye.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Michael, thank you again for the pleasure. I really enjoy doing these things with you. We should definitely, you know, um, plan for other collaborations. I believe that there's a lot, that we can, uh, you know, bring, to the table here. A lot of very useful things that the audience will benefit from. They will reap great benefits from these conversations.
Yeah, and if they have any ideas, they can request and let us know what we can talk about next time. But yeah, thank you so much, and I will hopefully see you soon.
Yep. Take care, my friend. See ya.
You have been listening to the Level Up English podcast. If you would like to leave a question to be answered on a future episode, then please go to levelupenglish.school/podcast. That's levelupenglish.school/podcast. And I'll answer your question on a future episode. Thanks for listening.